Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Awaken Your Soul. I'm Lauren Cabalden, Clinical Director at Akua Mind and Body, and this is Dan Paulsell. He's our alumni coordinator. So Dan also is a meditation practitioner, and so I would love for you to maybe speak a little bit about how you employ meditation in your own spiritual practice.
So here I am as the alumni coordinator. I do a lot of other things, but that's kind of like, that's what I look at as my job, is to support the clinical team and to create a family environment, a wholesome fellowship that people can feel connected to. And so I get to do that on a daily basis. Yeah. There's a way to find your own personal practice, and it doesn't have to be what someone else tells you it needs to be. When I was doing case management, I had a client come in and say, "Can you help me with meditation? My sponsor is talking about aligning his chakras and stuff." And I just don't know. I was like, this is the first time I've ever said this. I said, don't listen to your sponsor.
Ooh,
it's like, that you're going to fail at that. Mm-hmm. So why don't we take it a step back? If we look at the recovery world, initially Bill W. Was 3 years sober and wrote a book and said, meditate. And I think that meant smoke a cigarette and look at a tree. Mm-hmm. I think that's what that meant, was like, just chill out and sit back and give your brain a chance to calm down and reflect on some things. And there's other ideas of just get something positive, something spiritual, something healthy to feed your brain and sit and think about it. We're rewiring our brains constantly. And so what are you feeding your brain and what are you focusing on? Little parables from Zen masters or the Bible, read a verse and reflect on that. What is that to me? How does that impact me? And am I embodying that? What would it look like? What would it feel like if I did embody that throughout my day, and sit with that and picture yourself walking through the day acting like that? The St. Francis prayer is an excellent example of getting rid of the old and bringing in the new, and focusing on the positive attributes of who you are.
A lot of people hear the word meditation, though, and actually it brings up more anxiety.
Yes.
Paradoxically. So I'm wondering if you could address that. I mean, a lot of people, the thought of sitting alone quietly with your thoughts is terrifying. And so I love that you brought up some parables or readings, but could you maybe describe some ways to work with that feeling?
Yeah, so meditation is referred to as the practice of meditation, the practice of yoga, the practice of we're all just practicing everything, right? I don't know how to be an adult. I'm just practicing, right? And so the meditating is the same thing. And I remember leaving where I was first introduced to meditation and going home and duplicating that stuff. So it was sound bowls on YouTube. It was different. Like, I needed something to hold my attention, because being alone with my thoughts was hard. And then I just sat there and listened and focused on that. And when my thought went away, I tried to come back to it. And then when I tried to just sit and meditate silently with myself, the greatest gift someone gave me was just watch the thought float by. When it comes in, if you attach a judgment to that, you have an emotional reaction to it. You're spun out and you're focused on it, and then you're mad at yourself because you focus on it, and then you're mad at yourself because you're mad at yourself because you focus, and then you're not meditating.
And then meditation just made you more anxious.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And so the idea of, like, compassionately, if something comes in, like, interesting, I wonder why that came up. Maybe you do want to go down that hole. Maybe that's okay. Like, maybe that's where you need to go. Or maybe just let it float by and let the next one float by. And so there is no set way to do this. It is your own experience and your own practice. It's really just committing to setting some time to trying it and practicing it until it becomes a workable piece in your life.
And that's usually the hardest part. I've gotten away from the rules of it, how to do it right, how to do it whatever. It literally has just been
smoking a cigarette, looking at a tree.
Smoking a cigarette, looking at a tree. Yeah, exactly. It literally has just been acknowledging that time. Even if I don't get to it, even looking at my phone and going, I'm supposed to do it at this time, or this would be a good time. It's sometimes if I miss it, that's kind of a interesting meditation in and of itself, because I'm looking at, okay. I'm being a little bit more mindful for that 5 seconds. Even
it's meditation, you mentioned like setting a time aside for it, and I think that's a good way to practice and to be aware that it's something you're trying to do. But then throughout the day, when I feel myself in a space, like I can just like put something on my ears and listen and breathe and come back down, and that's that. Oh wait, none of that stuff's that important. Like everything's okay, and I just can get grounded like throughout the day.
Absolutely.
Having practiced that and knowing that I can get back to that 6-year-old calm space, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Dan, for all of your wisdom today. It's been a pleasure spending some time with you and an honor.
I also want to thank you for taking the time to sit with me and do this. I was quick to volunteer because I do like to talk, and I do like to share with people what's been shared with me, and hope that that collective consciousness can shift just a little bit. If you have any questions about anything we talked about today, we'd be happy to answer them. If you want to leave them in the comments underneath whatever format you're watching this video on, leave them there, and we'll do our best to respond and get you some insight onto anything you might have questions of.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. We'll see you guys next time on Awaken Your Soul. Have a great week.